You're destroying yourself for an audience that doesn't exist. How many times today already? Every time you hit refresh, every time you angle your life for a screenshot, every time you rehearse what you're about, to say so it sounds effortless. You're not building a life, you're performing one. And here's what nobody's telling you. The performance is killing the performer. You think the problem is that you care too much what people think. That if you could just be more confident, more secure, stronger, you'd be free of it. But that's not the problem. The problem runs so much deeper than insecurity. The problem is that you've outsourced the most important judgment in your life. You've handed strangers the power to tell you who you are. And every day, every hour, you check back in to see if they've changed their mind about you. Marcus Aurelius wrote something in his private journals that should disturb you. How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself. He wasn't talking about being selfish. He was talking about where you place your center, where you build your foundation. And right now, your foundation is built on sand that shifts every time someone scrolls past without stopping. This isn't about social media. Social media is just the magnifier. This is about something far more dangerous. You've become dependent on a drug you don't even recognize as a drug. External validation. And like any addiction, it doesn't make you feel better over time. It requires bigger doses just to feel normal. You need more likes, more comments, more recognition, just to feel like you did last month. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why seeking validation doesn't just fail to give you confidence. It systematically destroys the only kind of respect that actually matters, self-respect. And you'll see how the trap works so clearly that you'll wonder how you ever missed it. Let me show you what this looks like when you can't see it anymore. Dante Cross was the kind of man people noticed. Sharp jawline, scar through his left eyebrow from a fight years ago, the kind of discipline that showed in how he carried himself. He built something real, a successful business, a reputation for integrity, respect from people who mattered. From the outside, he looked like he'd figured it out. But there was something he did that nobody saw. Every morning, before his feet hit the floor, his hand reached for his phone. Not to check the time, to check the numbers. How many people responded to yesterday's post? What they said, how it performed compared to the day before. He told himself it was strategy, that he was building a brand, that engagement metrics mattered for business. But here's what he didn't tell himself. His entire mood for the day was determined in those first 30 seconds. Good numbers. He felt legitimate, powerful. Ready, bad numbers. And there was this hollowness, this quiet voice asking if he was slipping, if people were losing interest, if he was becoming irrelevant. One morning, his business partner asked him a simple question in a meeting. Why are we doing this? Talking about a new direction for their company. And Dante started to answer, then stopped. Because he realized he wasn't thinking about whether it was right. He was thinking about how it would look, how people would react, what story it would tell about him, what narrative they'd build in their heads about his success. That's when something Marcus Aurelius once observed hit him like cold water. Everything you're trying to reach by a roundabout route, you can have right now if you stop denying it to yourself. Dante had been taking the roundabout route his entire adult life, seeking proof of his worth from every direction except the one that mattered. From himself, he started paying attention, really paying attention, and what he saw horrified him. He watched himself edit sentences 3 times before sending them. Not for clarity, but for effect. He caught himself telling stories at dinner, not to connect, but to impress. He noticed how he'd steer conversations toward his accomplishments, then pretend it came up naturally. Every interaction had become a performance. Every relationship, a potential audience. Every moment, a chance to be validated or diminished. And here's what made it so insidious. None of it was making him feel better. The validation would come. Someone would say something affirming, and there'd be this brief hit of relief. And then nothing. The hollowness would creep back in. Because validation from others doesn't fill you. It just reminds you that you're empty and looking in the wrong place to fix it. The trap isn't that you seek approval. The trap is that seeking approval trains you to distrust your own judgment. Every time you check if others think you're valuable, instead of knowing you lived according to your principles, you're telling yourself your opinion doesn't count. Every time you adjust who you are based on the reaction you got, you're teaching yourself that you have no stable core. You're teaching yourself that you're whatever others say you are. And the cost isn't just confidence. It's self-respect, because self-respect doesn't come from other people thinking you're impressive. It comes from you knowing you lived with integrity when no one was watching, from knowing your choices aligned with your values, even when it cost you something, from keeping promises to yourself that no one else even knew you made. Dante realized he'd been stealing from himself for years. Every time he chose the impressive thing over the right thing, every time he performed instead of existed, he was making a withdrawal from the only account that actually mattered. So here's what you do. Tomorrow morning, before you check a single notification, before you see what anyone else thinks, ask yourself one question. If no one would ever know, would I still choose this? Not about big decisions, about the small one right in front of you. The way you respond to that message. Whether you share that thought. How you spend the next hour. If the answer changes when you remove the audience, you've found the trap. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You don't see it yet. But this is only the beginning.